Welcome to Modern Mystic Messages. I'm Teresa. If this is your first time stopping by, thank you for joining. If you are returning, welcome back, soul family. We're going to jump right in here. This is part 2 of the new moon solar eclipse starseed reading. So, we're going to just jump on in here without further ado. We'll save those oracles for the end. And initially, I said I was going to pull 13 decks, and after I stopped the camera from part 1, 2 more decks decided they wanted to come out and play, so we're gonna obey, see what's going on with them. But those will be kind of quick. We got some book reading to do over here with these, just because these messages are very in-depth for us. Oh, that might be our first card. Rising to Pleiadian frequencies, sacred bond, healing clears space for higher energies. Actually, I'm gonna be fair though and shuffle. Actually shuffle. So if it comes out again, we will know for sure that we're meant to have it. This deck is so big, it's difficult to shuffle, but it is such a beautiful deck. I love it, love it, love it. Okay, Rainbow Child, Unstoppable, New Earth Builder, Multi-Talented, Miraculous Alchemy. Portals, Doorways into Now, Letting Go of the Warrior. Ooh. Okay, I'm not taking all of them at one time, but Opening the Heart came here. That's the first one that flipped. Right to Love and Be Loved, Heart Healing. Vision of Unity, focus on the light, right to see, releasing illusion and pineal activation. What is this? Cities of Light, Telos, Adama, Inner Earth, Etheric Retreats, and the Family of Light are here. And what's the final card we're getting today? Oh, Universe is here. Oh, wow. Metatron, Wholeness, Commune with all life, Macrocosm. Surrender tried to come out before. We're not taking all of these, but I do want to look at them. Crown is here with Surrender, Resolution, Earth Angel, Ether and Matter, and Restore. Time out for you. Shamanic Signs. Trying to tell you, your evolution is upon you. And if you ain't ready, you better get ready, because I don't think you can. I think this train has left the station, people. I really think this train has left the station. I've had these cards for a minute. I don't use them in readings very often because the book meanings are so elaborate and long, and I was trying to steer away from that. I had to stop that, though. I thought about it. If people go and sit in a theater and actually pay money to sit for 2 or 3 hours in a dark room to watch something fiction, if they're interested in their spirituality, they can devote whatever, however long the reading goes, because I can't time that. Like I say, when I'm here, I just have to go with the flow of whatever I'm feeling led to or what comes out. Oh, New Blueprints is here with Rainbow Child. surrender is here with its portals and letting go of the warrior. We'll push these on up because these cards are so big. We're not going to pull as many cards for this reading, but I do want to take a look at them because I think they're pretty significant. See if we can get all of that in there. I hope you can still see it. There we go. Balanced forces are here with Starseer. Communication and co-creation is here with the Cities of Light. Ooh, She of the Lotus is here with the Universe. All right. This ought to be really good. I thought it fitting that we use the golden, unveiling the Golden Age Tarot today. Strength is here. Oh, wow. Okay. We got strength here. And the Hierophant, origins of light, lineage, and then persistent presence, the 9 of light codes. I think that's the 9 of wands. Or is that swords? I can't remember. I'm gonna have to look it up. Ooh, 15 is here, the catalyst, which, wow, there's a lot of major arcana here. Justice is here, and I think 15 is judgment. I can't remember. And then the 7 of light codes. I gotta take a look because I find it interesting that, I mean, they're in this deck. The Pentacles are Earth Guardians. I think the light codes are wands. Activations might be swords. And then, oh goodness, I'm not looking at them now yet. Earth Guardians are Pentacles. Activations are swords. Yeah, so the light codes are wands. And the portals, of course, are cups. Because the emotion is the heart portal. But wow. Wow, wow, wow. So let's just dig in, shall we? Now normally, let me see here. I'm curious because I can't remember. Oh, 15 is the devil, but it's a catalyst, so I get it. Like I say, the devil, that Capricorn energy is often needed to pull off some of the things that you've been shown in your vision, especially if it involves finance, commerce, things like that. The devil also gives us a sense of a need for balance. I think I need to throw a card over her because she got a little tatas out. I don't want to get dinged for that. I think we're good on everything else. Yeah. So, Rainbow Child. Rainbow Child is number 5, yeah. Unstoppable, new earth builder, multi-talented, miraculous alchemy, and they also include self-worth here. It is related to structure. I am divine spirit, unstoppable in co-creating heaven on earth. It talks about being a parent for a rainbow child, so I'm not going to read all of that. Lemurian Star Child, step into your true nature by walking the path of many colors. Did you have dramatic life experiences that reminded you of this path? Now it calls you again, even stronger, for you have an important role on the new earth. Allow magic to unfold to guide you. Transfiguration of your whole life is possible, even likely, when you follow this path. Does the path look narrow sometimes? Let go of the distractions and you will see that it is as wide as the whole universe. Connect to your guides to let the magic that is within you unfold further. Each color of the rainbow holds a key for you, a light code. When they combine, new spiritual and physical abilities become available to you. You're walking upwards to see from a higher altitude with each step. Your staircase is the rainbow with your natural octaves of frequency. Each time you're at the top of the rainbow, you will see a higher band, another rainbow. Keep climbing until you see the earth from space, from a universal viewpoint. Then you see all the colors in a singularity, a wormhole that allows you to travel dimensions. Receive this mystical message from your Lemurian and Pleiadian guides and also from the cosmic guide called Merlin. It is given to you in words and codes that point to your heart to activate your innate wisdom. Access this energy to know and embody your true self. And the affirmation is, I am fully grounded in the new earth heavenly vibrations. I express my loving truth in transformational ways that create new possibilities. I am immune to the magnetics of the old paradigm. Wow. Alrighty then. And then with new blueprints coming along with that. Be the change. Take action. Take a step no matter how small. Ignite an upward spiral. Make a positive change. Ethics and compassion. Create a ripple of light. Be the change you wish to see is an empowering mantra to remind us that we can step up and create the blueprints for the world we want to know. Powerful meaning change starts with you today. Stepping forward with action, however small, will benefit the vibration of the planet in some way. We have more of a voice than we realize. As consumers, we can direct our energy and make a difference through ethical choices. By stepping out of our own needs and wants, we can help someone less privileged. We can pick up trash, be present with someone, or smile at those we share a path with. Small acts create a ripple of goodness in the world. This card inspires action, no matter how small, that will create a ripple of light in the world. You are part of a bigger picture, a greater story, and your actions, your choices, your presence are making a difference. You have more power than you realize. Focus on what you can do and do it well. Change takes time, so make plans and start now. But as this rainbow child, you got plenty of assistance and it's happening. It's kind of a natural evolution if you just allow it to happen. Like this next card says, surrender here. Now, strength. I want to hear what she had to say on that. I mean, we know the traditional meanings of strength, but like I said, we ain't going to be traditional today. We want all the spiritual stuff. Because word have it in these spiritual streets out here that you's a beast and you kind of want to know some of this stuff. So, yeah, we're going to do this. Connect to the inner strength of your spirit and face challenges with courage. The teaching here is of inner strength. When you connect with your spirit to overcome any obstacle, the stamina and presence you need are sourced from your commitment to do something profound and divine. Quiet composure, calm, and patience are combined with personal power and deep inner confidence to walk through the metaphorical fire, even if it seems a bit scary. This archetype may be called for in your current situation or as a solid supporter for someone else going through challenges. If you do not feel you have these capabilities, this card inspires you to find that sun inside yourself, encouraging you to persevere. It calls you to lead without excessive outward force. I think that's all we need to see out of that. They got a lot of, yeah, because she starts telling the story of the images, and that's another day. That's more of my curiosity. They are beautiful images. These are two of the most beautiful decks that I've ever seen. I love them, but I guess because I'm part space cadet too, so I love those kind of futuristic images. Yeah. Now let's see what we have here with portals. Doorways into now, letting go of the warrior, collapse of the old paradigm, blissful dimensions, blessings of today, your truth. The related cards to this are synchronicity, vision of unity, which actually came out, crown, which showed in the end, Arcturians, earth and air, tree of life, and the ruby ray. My ability to be love with what is, my ability to be love with what is opens the door to the subtle realms. Sometimes we notice something is missing. Our hearts cannot find what they've been quietly looking for without us even noticing. Eventually our hearts get through to us and we follow the call to go within. Listen carefully. Can we silently ask what it is that we long for? What yearnings have been trying to reveal themselves in quiet moments? What actually is it that we miss? Can we even define it? If we let ourselves feel these pangs, those ones we've been trying to ignore, if we give them space to let them take on some form and welcome the pictures that begin to form of what feels lost, then we're suddenly a lot further towards getting there. The Portals card reminds you to go within. Within you is a doorway, a way back to your true home, your source, and your light family. You walk through the portals, vortices of light, that lead to other dimensions, into expanded dimensions to receive great healings. Portals to the old paradigm collapse in this process because they cannot be sustained in the higher vibrations. And then it said that we are multidimensional reality. We are in a multidimensional reality, even though we might see only 3 dimensions. We might also see more dimensions at times when we see angels or guides or deceased ones. Sometimes we get foresight in a dream or synchronistic events that we can't really explain. Or we might experience or see life on other planets. These occurrences are especially important for you to help you understand portals. If you have also drawn the synchronicity card, also watch for the vision of unity or crown card. They also have some significance in relation to the portals. And then we have surrender. Trust, letting go of control, free flow, receptivity, yin energy, inner knowing, intuition, synchronistic opportunities, getting out of your way, the path of least resistance, allowing who you are to naturally flourish. Surrendering can be one of the hardest things to do. Trusting that we can achieve more by loosening our control can take great courage. Sometimes the most constructive way forward is to stop forcing things into being. Rather than allowing, inviting, and drawing a project into being, the energy here is of frustration, as if you are pushing something heavy up a mountain. At these times, gravity or flow don't seem to be on your side. Use this awareness as a guide when you start to detour from your path. When control is released, so too is resistance. One of the biggest skills we can learn is to get out of our own way. When we are in a receptive place, we are open to a world of opportunities, and the great mysteries can unveil themselves. Ooh, they speaking. Yeah, the mind loves to control the outcome, but this only creates limitations. It can feel scary, but when we allow ourselves to be caught by the universe, myriad possibilities open to us. I had someone ask me, like, how do you remember the card meanings? And I mean, when you work with them long enough, you do. Some of these more extensive decks, I like to read from them for your benefit as well. But even when it comes down to embracing the clairs and things like that, we all have the capability for it if you're willing to allow it and tap into it. We're being led someplace. Most of us just keep resisting the call. We cover it up in coffee and junk food and bad relationships and plugging into too much bad TV and all those things that keep us from being able to hear what's been picking away at our soul for the longest, knocking at the door, begging us to answer. And Spirit is now saying, it's time. The universe is back, and that was the last word out the door. It's time, family. And this is a beautiful day to start, no matter where you at on your journey. A new moon and a solar eclipse on the Feast of Trumpets. Yeah. Now this lineage with the Hierophant. Oh, I'm in the wrong book. My bad. Theme for integration. Honor the lineages of your ancestry and spiritual traditions. Consider how they meet your ethical values to contribute to what is emerging for you now. This card's lesson concerns receiving spiritual knowledge that has been passed down to you. It honors family traditions and sacred rituals. It inspires you to explore your spiritual or religious heritage, your ancestral lineage, and previous lives that you feel have some keys for you in the present moment. The Hierophant asks you to learn the fundamentals of a practice from a trusted source before getting creative with them. It may also call you to be more directed to a daily practice such as prayers or meditation. It could also encourage you to pass on knowledge or practices you are adept at in a way that respects the principles of its tradition. There are reasons why it has been beneficial over the ages to integrate some of these practices into our lives. Now, if it goes further, talking about exploring the lineage of your spirituality and connecting with your ancestors as a foundation to create your own ideas or understand better why others choose to align their life with these principles. It is, of course, a good idea to keep an open mind about what works for you and what does not, rather than becoming dogmatic. The emerging paradigm is breaking down the corruption embedded in institutions like religion, where distortion of the original message has unfortunately caused the opposite effect of what was originally intended. Yes, it is important to know where we've come from, but where we are going is an evolution of our past. What served society only a century ago is in many cases outdated in what it represents now. Remain aware and trust your inner guidance as you create your own path forward. This is something, even before I stepped away from religion per se, when I started digging deeper, and that's the thing I want people to understand. When I start speaking out on some of the things that I'm being called to speak on, I'm not speaking against, well, in Enlil's case, yeah. But even at that, I don't hate the player or the game. I respect that, and I've had conversations with him. But the thing is about Luciferian law, once you peeped the man behind the curtain, they're like, my bad, you caught us. I have free license to say what I'm saying because the time has come. His reign, he knows his reign is about over. And so do the powers that were that serve under him. All of them, they know it. They know way more than we do. That's the thing. And they've kept the illusion going as long as possible. But the light is starting to come. So I'm not telling anybody to go in and walk away from their religion without any thought. Truthfully, I think I said it in a video a while back. I encourage anybody to dig deeper into whatever God means to you and love. In the Christian Bible, the scriptures say God is love. Now, it's wrapped around a whole lot of stuff that ain't loving. I ain't talking about that. And preachers have tried to wrangle and justify and explain to us why it's so loving, for some of the barbaric principles that are put out there are in there. That's a whole nother story. But you got to remember what we're looking at when we do that. And not just Christianity, I'm saying all of those religions. We are literally reading other people's mail from 3,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago. Other people's mail. They had no idea that Teresa in Atlanta, Georgia would be sitting up anywhere reading this stuff 2,500 years from now. Most of that stuff are records of things that they had going on at the time, and we've been given a spin on what it was, or they were very pointed letters to specific congregations within religious platforms of the time. For people to say that God's word don't never change is ludicrous. Why? Everything on this planet changes. The creation's here, the planet itself, what we know and understand, where we even at in the universe changes. But they're saying that these are the 66 books you're going to live your life by. You can't never add nothing and never take away. But they've been adding and taking away from it ever since they decided it was going to be. Because it started out as, I think, about 88 books. And then I was like, we done told them too much. We're going to pare it down to these 66, and those are now bad. They were fine before. But there are very few Bibles and very few faiths that still allow or follow the Apocrypha. I think that the Ethiopian church does, I believe. They still have it. But they're saying God's word don't change while they steady changing it. That whole lie that got us believing in a redhead pitchfork and how evil the devil is and all the rest of that stuff, that story about Lucifer the morning star, that's a deliberate mistranslation of a mistranslation that was allowed to stick until it became dogma and doctrine and kept in the translations. It wasn't supposed to be there. There's a whole lot of mistranslations and deliberate tweaks. For example, King James, a lot of folks, King James Bible is standard. But King James deliberately has certain key scriptures translated differently than what he knew and understood the translation to be, as the people that had been commissioned to translate it had provided. I don't know how his encyclopedia of demonology went, and I know it's a whole lot of Christians that don't know that King James was very fascinated with demons and made a book of demonology hand in hand with the Bible. But again, I'm not telling nobody to go away from it. Dig deep enough to know what you really signed on for. Don't just be satisfied because your grandmama and your mama drug you to church every Sunday and you listen to some lay preacher. And again, I'm not saying their hearts ain't in the right place, but it's a whole lot of preachers out there that don't know what they're talking about or what they're even preaching. And I know that because I done had a whole lot of them shut me down and tell me how difficult I was when I started asking the real questions that came up when I was reading the book over and over again, as I was made to do. But as a real Hierophant, you're going to balance that. And now that we're stepping into the age of Aquarius, there's a lot of folks that are being called to be the Hierophant to share the information that they are coming across to make a difference. Because Yeshua said so. They're not going to be able to hold the lie and keep mankind in darkness forever. It's coming to light. Now let's move on to opening the heart. It's interesting, in this book it comes right after awakening, and then the next one is, and surrender would be the next one, yeah. Which we didn't get surrender in this deck, we got it over here, but still. The right to love and be loved, heart healing, healing grief issues, opening the heart chakra. Dear one, this is an invitation to open your heart. As I open to the love that I am, the love in everything shines back at me. The heart of Lemuria embraces all hearts, including ones that are hurting from the past and ones that are closed due to mental focus. This embrace invites a natural opening, while Lemurian wisdom shows that the heart has both human and a cosmic aspect. Has your heart been put to the test? If you feel betrayed in matters of the heart, then know that you are not alone, for many face this issue in their lives. Replenish yourself with the divine light to find the courage to open again. You can access your cosmic heart source through the support of your loving angels and guides, including Lemurians and Pleiadians. Sometimes you need to attune deeply to this resource, and this is especially confirmed if you have also drawn the cosmic heart source. The inner child has great innate wisdom that becomes activated by the truth of the heart. This activation also gives you new abilities to parent your inner child in the process of healing the old patterns. Allow every cell of your body to lighten up with this signature of truth, with this loving essence that informs and nurtures you. If you have also drawn the inner child card, then it is especially important to embrace your little one in this process. It is the heart that frees humanity from its bonds, the dense forms that have been blocking the path. These denser materials cannot withstand the heart of the light of the heart, and they are therefore crumbling from the burden of their own weight to make way for the new earth. And that's the truth, because for real, oh, I'm so sorry. My nose is itching like crazy, and that happens sometimes when I sit down here. I don't know what that, well, it's energy flow, but this get out of your head, get out of your own way, letting go of that warrior fight energy is so important in all of this, especially when you're shifting belief systems, because that is programming. We're all under programming, every single one of us. It is inescapable. When we are first born, the first 7 years of our lives, our brains are in a theta state, which is a pre-hypnotic state. We are downloading information by the boatloads. Everything around us we form an opinion on based on what we've been shown and told by our handlers. Our first handlers being our parents, then of course our aunties, uncles, teachers, friends, bullies, preachers, judges, police officers, everywhere around us, mass media, television. Those things are programmed into us. So I'm not saying, again, like I said, I wasn't telling nobody to just jump up and throw all of their belief systems out of the way, but dig deeper, open your heart, allow yourself to see a bigger picture, because I promise you there's a bigger picture. Almost everything that's been done on this planet, there's some subterfuge around it because of who's behind those things. Balance forces. Yin and yang, productive flow, masculine and feminine energy, the balance of duality, patriarchal paradigm being rebalanced, equality, balance and perspective. The Lemurian people are said to have been androgynous, meaning they were not a specific gender. As they were only partially formed in the physical realm, they did not inhabit a paradigm of duality. They were a perfect balance of what became masculine and feminine energy as it densified in physical form. We all hold a mix of masculine and feminine energies within us. Masculine energy is more about focus and a forward direction, while feminine energy is more holistic and peripheral. Masculine energy is that of logistics and actioning desires into being, and it has more of a controlled and rigid vibration. Feminine energy is freer flowing, nurturing, creative, and receptive. Both sides are to be celebrated, but in our efforts to rebalance, inequality and prejudice can occur. In our current paradigm, masculine and feminine energies are imbalanced as our global culture is largely patriarchal and strongly influenced by masculine energy. Efforts to revitalize the feminine flow have been incrementally shifting to the balance over the last century. It is time to calm mind-based intellect, scientific data, linear direction, and the acquisition of power. To have an optimal human experience, we must embody a balance of masculine and feminine energies. We can daydream in receptive fluidity and then action our ideas into reality. We can be soft and nurturing and also firm and direct as needed. We can be determined, compassionate, grateful, vulnerable, visionary, and strong. There can be focus and free flow. We may not draw on these energies simultaneously, but when we access both equally, we can be truly powerful, centered beings. When we bridge the duality within ourselves, we can seed more balance in our inner world. As I was reading that, I couldn't help but think about the current gender war thing we have going on here, especially in America. It's not much of a problem anywhere else. The traditional societies that have other genders than male and female, they've been at it a long time, and they're not doing that in a weird way. This phenomena that we see happening now over the past 4 years or so specifically, because guess what, y'all, that's a Mandela effect too. That's a product of this warping and changing of the timelines, and some of them were being manipulated by the powers that were. 7 years ago, nobody had heard the term non-binary, and now they're changing congressional laws and stuff, trying to push the narrative of a very small group of very confused people onto the world. We got to be so accepting that we got to rechange how we talk. Everybody's so super sensitive. Like I said, I couldn't even say killed. I had to say unalive earlier because I'm guilty of some of that assimilation too. I don't want to offend nobody or have YouTube say something, and there comes a time when we have to balance ourselves, because even in that, that's a manipulation. When people are so troubled in their spirit that they don't even know who they are and who they came here to be embodied in this go around. I get it, we've all been here before, and I've probably been a man a few lifetimes, and if you're a man, you've been a woman, but we're talking about this lifetime right here. And if you'll notice, those who start playing that gender game, they have a very warped, caricaturized presentation of what they think the other gender is supposed to be and embody. They become cartoon characters because there's still imbalance in that. Because, and again, I'm not nodding towards any sexual preference. If somebody chooses to be gay, that's never stopped. It's never going to stop. People can fuss it and cuss it and all the rest of that. I think if you're really here to be like a real worker on the planet, you need to understand how energies work together. We are designed, our organism is designed to fit together in a certain way to transmute energy and be able to alchemize energy and create. That is somewhat impeded when you choose a mate of the same gender. However, that's their thing. I'm not judging it in any way. I'm talking about them folks that's on the confusion train and they that's mental instability. Spirit is calling us to be focused. Now, in opening our heart, we're not going to be mean to those people, but we can't allow their jaded thinking to sway us from what we know we're being called to do and what's right. And if you're struggling with some of that, I would say, remember, like I said, we all have masculine and feminine in us, but also remember that a large part of your blueprint is determined before you ever got here. You were incarnated in whatever body you were born in for a reason. So to just decide you're going to abandon your mission in the middle and surgically alter yourself so that, I don't even know what they accomplished. I'm not even going way down into that path because that ain't got nothing to do. It just came to mind while I was reading. So, anywho, yeah. It's just things that we have to be careful of, not to allow ourselves to get in our own way by getting trapped in programming that's laid before us for the purpose of causing us to trip over our own shoelaces. So the 9 of light codes is here. Energy rebalance, energetic awareness, healing yourself and others, exploring healing modalities, Reiki, the chakra system, your unique and innate ability to heal, color vibration, soul sovereignty, auras and the meridian system, aligning to the highest good and optimal health. Wow, that's got a lot more insight to it than just the traditional Nine of Wands. We think of the wounded warrior, but we say that we have to remember they call the wounded warrior, but Chiron is the wounded healer, not a warrior, a healer. Yeah, the Lemurians were well versed in the practice of the healing arts. They were naturally intuitive and accustomed to navigating energetic based realities. We all have natural healing abilities that are advanced when we deepen our energetic awareness. When we perceive the world beyond our more well known senses, we start to receive information and wisdom that is different from that which stems from intellect. By tapping into life force consciousness and using this abounding energy alongside focus and intention, we find that anything is possible. You may already practice a form of natural healing, but find you sometimes feel quite drained. If this is the case, ensure the energy you are overflowing comes from an infinite stream of abundant universal energy. Rather than using your own resources, you may want to imagine the brightest, most love-imbued luminescent light flowing down from the heavens or the center of the universe, and alongside any healing intentions, include the statement, "for the greatest good." And then it starts talking about energetic healing and stuff. But if you're being called to one of the healing arts, I know I'm being called to learn Reiki and have been for years. My girlfriend, I was talking to her about the upcoming, I guess still ain't, the lady hasn't put a date forth yet, but I want to get certified in Reiki. And she was like, "I'm so glad you're finally doing it. You've been mentioning it for years." And I saw the vision, but I wasn't energetically ready. And now it's time. I'm gonna have to get out of this energy soon too, because I think that's part of it. I call in all of my guides, and when I read, so that I'm kind of in flow. But I've been in that so long now. I'm gonna have to take a break after this reading. My nose will not. I'm about to rub it off my face. It won't stop itching. It's like a buzz running through the whole top half of my head and coming out down through my nose. Ooh. But we're going to get through this reading, folks. And I will do the rest later, but I am going to have to take a break, go put my feet on the ground. And I've had that happen before. I've been outside in meditation and connected with the guys and reached a point that was so high that, I mean, I was sitting there, tears streaming down my face, the whole bit. And I actually heard, "You have to come down now, ground yourself." Because I was like reaching a point where it wasn't physically safe for my body in its current state to hold that high energy for that long. And they were like, "Enough, ground now, come back down," because my head was somewhere, woo, yeah. But the more of light that you hold, the more you'll be able to hold. The more you clear this vessel through whatever dietary changes, exercise, meditation, energy clearing, salt baths, whatever you're being led to do, you start holding more light, and you'll be able to hold it for longer and longer. Vision of unity. Focus on the light. Right to see, resolving issues of illusion, pineal activation, clear seeing and insight. I allow my eyes to see, my eyes of truth. I am not that which I see, I am that by which I am able to see, which is aware consciousness. The vision of unity heals inner battles, conflicts, and split perceptions. It shows that even when we feel fragmented on earth, our source essence is always at one. Like a healing balm, this knowledge heals our wounds so that we can feel this unity on earth. Have you been in two minds, doubtful or undecisive? Open your heart to receive a vision of unity, an insight that transcends the conflicts of the mind. This vision descends when we are not chasing answers so that we can truly be open to new inspiration. If you feel fragmented by energy from the old paradigm, ask your guides to help you resolve these issues with ease and grace. This card tells you that you don't need a long path of working things out because you're ready to let go of these old contracts. Wow. Now, I didn't know why I was talking about the whole gender confusion thing, but I guess I was getting a little ahead. Sorry. I could say I pay attention to the thoughts that run through my head, but it's interesting when it, like I said, the very next thing that we go to goes there and then goes there. But wow. And then we have the Star Seer 46. Listen to your intuition, trust the holistic journey, dreams finding their way into being, the bigger picture, a more aligned outcome than expected, clarity of the greater path. Have you ever headed toward a specific destination, but instead of it being where you ended up, the journey was the catalyst for getting you where you were meant to go? Have you ever felt the universe was conspiring against you and nothing seemed to be working out as planned, but then everything came together in a way that was so perfect? This card is about the journey not going as planned, but the outcome being better than you thought possible. When we set our dreams and intentions, internal or external shifts may need to occur before we start to see results. Outdated doors may need to close. Ideas that are holding you back may need to transform. Life's winding roads may seem as though you're off the path, despite how right your decisions may feel. Trust and know that your higher self may have bigger plans for you. There might be some adventures on the way, or not. The road you take depends on how ready you are and the distance between your current life and the one you are dreaming into being. Wow. That really hit home for me. When I started telling my story, and I think it's still in my phone. I got to upload some of it because I wasn't on camera then. I was like literally filming in my room with a light on the ceiling. But when my world came crumbling down for this latest time in 2018, the crazy part is what led up to it from 2015 to 2018, I knew that I was making what others considered, and to some degree myself, not the best choice. I did the wrong thing for the right reasons, and it blew up in my face anyway. And one could get bitter, and I was angry and frustrated for a minute, but it was the way things kind of whirled around. It was a divine redirection. I went into hermit mode for over 2 years after that. Now, like I said, I carried some folks into hermit mode with me that I shouldn't have. And then actually my hermit mode wound up getting extended to a part B or whatever. But I mean, like, for real sequestered hermit mode for a long time. And I'm still there to a degree. I'm being more social now. But at the end of the day, I'm so grateful for it. What looks like one of the low points of my life actually afforded me, the way situations, opportunities, and people lined up, it allowed me an opportunity to go even further within, because I was meditating by then. I kind of knew I was being invited to the path of initiation, but I had people around me that I would have never been able to get spiritually where I am now if I still had them barking in my ear, because they were keeping my energy, my headspace, my everything someplace it didn't need to be. So it looked crazy when it all went down, but in all of that, something incredibly beautiful came out of it. I am so grateful for that tower falling. Like I said, anything that I lost along the way, anything that mattered to me, I should say, that I've lost along the way is being restored to me, and I'm receiving evidence of it now. Because for real, my life has fallen apart, and I've had to rebuild from nothing so many times that I've learned to kind of not. I collect a lot of stuff in good spells, but I've also become a minimalist, so it doesn't hurt me when I lose physical things. The only thing that I was worried about not possibly being able to jump this next time, quantum jump with, was my children and my twin flame. If I got those 5 people on my crew, and I wasn't even sure I was going to be able to make the jump with all of my children. I had one that's still bucking and giving me issues. But one by one, even that one, has kind of started coming back around, calling and asking how I'm doing sometimes. Just want to reach out because, asking me spiritual questions. All but one of them that had a reading, and the one that hasn't is because he's afraid to open this door because of his understanding and feelings about spirituality. He's still on the fence as to whether he wants to allow the door to open to things like telepathy and the empathic nature and all that. But he's a very, matter of fact, he's a military dude. I leave it there. So, but I still, in the conversations that we have, I see an evolution even in him. People can't help it. We're going to evolve whether we want to or not. And if we don't do it in this lifetime, guess what? When we transition up out of here, we're going to come back and the world will be dramatically different and things will start to shift. We're going to evolve. So might as well do it in this lifetime, especially if you're already kind of getting some hints at some changes and things. Like I said, being drawn to things like the healing and these visions of unity and the new paradigm thinking and new spirituality, or not, it isn't new spirituality, but a different mode or a different avenue of spirituality, kind of unlook. All of those things we're being led to for a reason. The catalyst is here though, the shadow clearing. I'm gonna keep this on her because I don't want to get in trouble. You can choose to free yourself from the limitations and restraints of the shadow. You may be feeling a sense of being stuck or unfulfilled. Perhaps you think you lack the willpower to overcome your unhealthy impulses and break their hold. This card relates to short-term pleasures that may make you feel better in the moment, but are detrimental in the long run, whether to your physical or mental health or even to others. This addictive imbalance can also relate to codependence or sexuality in its energetic, denser forms. The key is to find a way to take your power back simply by acknowledging that it is your shadow aspect causing the disharmony. Only you can set the intention to change your relationship to pleasure. You don't have to deprive yourself of enjoyment. Instead, find more nourishing forms to fulfill your needs. Once you lift your vibration and reduce the space in your life for these limiting desires, they will start to lose their grip on you, and from there you can make a shift. The sharpest implement for times like this is a powerful clearing tool. When trying to cut through the density and find your way to your preferred vibration, it is important to have easily accessible ways of clearing your energy. Clearing is vital whether you're looking to overcome a personal limitation or in the grips of something that is outright sucking your energy. Metaphorical or not, if you're feeling sluggish and dense, it is usually a telltale sign that there could be an energetic parasite present. However, you are not a victim. These cracks reveal aspects of our shadow that have not been acknowledged. It is through these cracks that uninvited energetic guests can likely take up residency. It's time to let them go. Yeah. There was a couple things that came to mind as I was reading that. Oh, when it was talking about addictive imbalances relating to codependency or sexuality. Codependency, I've said it before, I'll say it again, it's nasty business. I don't recommend it to nobody. I had to close a karmic lesson cycle, if you will, of codependency. I did it over and over and over and over and over again my entire life up until a couple years ago. Because it was what I was programmed with since birth. I was born into a family with a narcissist mother, and my father was her supply. But he wasn't meekly going into that, so it was like the Lockhorns up in there. And then, like I said, over time in life, just trying to get along, and not make waves and not have too many people, just wanting to. And as an empath, you're a naturally giving person. You naturally get along and all of that. But you start allowing yourself to be eclipsed out by trying to keep everybody else together. And after a while, you just juggling too many plates. And they use it up. But you have to do this clearing. Also, I wanted to mention this. If there's any kind of an imbalance in your relationships, whether you're single or in a relationship, if there's an imbalance in your relationship or sexuality, consider one of the biggest clearings that you can do for yourself. Yeah, the salt baths are good. Meditation is amazing. Take a period of celibacy, abstinence. Now, if you got a partner, it's something y'all gonna have to talk about and be by mutual accord. However, if they are really on a path and understand that by a temporary period of celibacy or abstinence, there's still other ways to connect with each other, and it's a way to practice tuning into the subtler energies. You can actually strengthen your relationship by doing that. Because guess what? If you don't have the physicality to reach for, and you start tapping into the mental and become telepathically bonded, it takes your relationship to a whole different level. It takes your sexuality to a whole different level. 5D union is lit, y'all. But you got to get out of your base animal instinct, because people that are so tied to their sexuality, not saying that there's, like you said, we're adults, we all have that. But when it becomes so imbalanced that they can't do without it, and they got addiction, and they doing one night stands, and the maintenance men and the maintenance women, and the bed hopping and the cheating and the body counts in the hundreds and all of that, that's an imbalance and an addiction feeding your imbalanced root chakra. And it can keep you from ascension. Because your energy ain't going to go no higher than that, because you're spinning it out and spewing it out to all these people and making energetic attachments with people from a low vibrational place. And then wonder why you break up with that one because they wasn't no good and it didn't work out, and all the rest of that. And the next one you get, more of the same. And the next one you get, it's a different face, but you could literally just slot those people, because until you clear that energy by a period of abstinence long enough for you to figure out where your vibration really is. And in some cases, some of those people hook into it so deep, we actually have to do energetic cord removals and things. But even if they don't mean, I'm not saying everybody mean you harm and everybody's doing spell work. Just by the nature of us being energetic people and the way we react with other energies here in the unified field on this planet, every person you've ever slept with has left some kind of an energy print on you. So if you're having problems with lining some of that stuff up, that may be a big part of your shadow healing. And I'm going to get up off of that. Like I say, I ain't trying to preach to nobody. I'm just, like, what had happened to me was. And again, no, I can't even say what happened to me, because I've never understood them crazy, ridiculous triple-digit body counts and all that kind of nonsense. I ain't going to tell nobody that. But there was a time in my life when I was not making good decisions and allowing energies that, in hindsight, looking back on it, I should never have allowed even into my personal space, much less into my inner sanctum of my being. And by doing so, you can't think but a certain way. When you start really, really hanging out with the wrong energies, and I don't even want to say the wrong energies, they're energies that are in a bandwidth that you want to escape from, that you know you don't have no business in, but that keeps you kind of bound in that bandwidth because that's who you're mixing and mingling with. So you're energetically locked into them, and that can genuinely impede your ascension. And especially if you're mentally so addicted to certain aspects of our lives that you feel like you're actually addicted to it, you're telling yourself that you need that to survive. Really? Really? How long did Mandela sit in prison? And I don't think they had no conjugal visits up in a South African prison, y'all. And he survived and got out just fine. And again, not saying you got to be without, because there's a lot of beautiful creation in those relationships, but co-create with the right partners. Especially if you're a star seer with this vision of unity. We open our heart to everyone, but you can't open your legs to everyone. You just can't, people. You can't. Cities of Light. Telos, Adama, Inner Earth. Let me see where we at here. 91. Ooh, I opened right to it. That's pretty cool. Etheric Retreats, Family of Light, Inner Earth Communication, New Earth Potential. I joyfully meet with Lemurian family in the inner planes and receive their love, light, and wisdom for the new earth. You've drawn this card because inner earth beings would like to connect with you to show you great potentials of light for your personal life and for humanity. They show you etheric pathways that lead to their cities of light where you can meet many members of your light family. Their city of light and their collective of love give you great inspiration and energetic support for co-creating the new earth. Millions live inside the earth in sacred mountains and deeper beneath the surface. Their cities of light vibrate on a light frequency which they amplify through chambers of resonance. Many Lemurians, but also cosmic beings, elemental beings, and other beings of light live in these sacred spaces. Much has been obscured from the Earth's history. There have been many cataclysms, disasters that were caused by ignorance. The Lemurian Eden perished because many forgot their true nature and went on to explore karmic journeys. Each lightworker had to choose between physical death and continuing their life underground, which were both valid choices. The Lemurians of the inner earth are very much in a state of awake alertness now, ready to give energetic assistance to the places on the surface of the earth that need a transmission of light. They would like to take you back to the energy of Lemurian Eden, putting it in a new light of evolution. Wow. It said that we had the abilities of manifestation and telepathy from the Lemurian Eden, but we have developed them further in the cities of light. We ask you to expand your consciousness to receive our energy, which can propel your own evolution forward. We ask you to join us in co-creating with our reunion in humanity, which, although in future linear time, is already happening beyond space and time constructs. And I couldn't help but think about the etheric cities as well. Now, those are not beneath the earth, they're above it. But when you start kind of tapping into this energy, it made me think about like Mount Shasta and places like that. We have energy vortices on this planet. Even if you look at the ley lines, most of the major churches of the world are built along the ley lines. They understood that spiritual wisdom back in those days. And above, in all of those areas of ley lines and that high crystal activity on the planet that's on the earth, above them there are etheric cities as well. And people report a lot of very mystical, magical things happening. I know my fiance and I are being called to several places around the world. I never was really called to Stonehenge per se. I'd like to go there and experience the energy. But he called me one day and he was like, look, I don't know why, but we have to go to Egypt. And we'll get there eventually. Like I said, we're trying to just meet up, period, first anywhere. But he was given that information in a download that there are activations there that we're supposed to receive. We have to go. For some reason, I don't even know how I'm going to pull it off. But once I do go to Africa, I have to visit the Dogon people of Mali. They have information. They've known the coordinates of Sirius B for over 500 years before humanity had caught back up and had the technological advancement to even prove whether their information was correct or not. They still live in mud huts to this day, people. Maybe not everybody in Mali, of course, but the Dogon people have stayed to their traditions, and they still live in that same way, but they know the coordinates of Sirius B. And they told people how to fish. People from Sirius B gave them their information, but nobody wanted to believe them. This isn't play. This is really happening. Those children in Africa, 30 years later, they still remember those spaceships landing and what was said and done. They didn't make that up. And at the same time, that happened in Africa. It also happened in Australia. They're starting to open the gateways because it's time for us to stop living under this illusion and reintegrate. And those whose consciousness can expand to accept that will be granted not only the connection and the information, but those higher manifestations as well. Communication, co-creation is here. I love the way those are lined up because I didn't even think about, I guess I didn't really think about what the cards meant. I'm just pulling them, like I said. But We're in an evolution cycle like probably the world has never seen. Because remember that scene in The Matrix when Neo was talking to the architect, and come to find out, I think that might have been the second Matrix. I don't know. Anyway, but come to find out, the architect admitted that wasn't the first time Neo had been through that. He was able to see it was like the third or fourth time he had been playing that out. In his current reality, he didn't understand that, but the architect let him know that they had been through that several times. Well, in our ancient histories, the reason they kept those records so carefully, because those who studied astrology and knew and understood the older ways before we would shut down all of that belief with the newer religions on the planet, and yes, Christianity is one of the newest, they understood that people have done this before. In fact, in the astrology, when we talk about Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio in terms of months. There are also zodiacal years and zodiacal ages. And I think an age is like 2,600 years, 2,700 years, something like that. They go backward. That's why I was mentioning Moses being the keeper of the age of Taurus. And then we went into the age, they went into the age of Pisces. Our zodiac goes forward from Aries forward, but the zodiacal ages go backward from the way we measure them. So Taurus, the age of Taurus led to the age of Pisces, which leads to the age of Aquarius, and we're at the doorway of Aquarius now. This communication and co-creation is nonverbal communication, love language, telepathy, unique ways of communication, light language, multidimensional information, community coexistence, relationships, meeting our higher selves, really seeing someone, or deeper listening. We normally think of information as something that can be written or spoken, but if something is multidimensional, it's almost impossible to share it with words. I feel I have quite a lot of this information in my field now, and yet my intelligence cannot fathom it. Metaphor or song may hint at its vastness, but it is more like a reminder or catalyst that encourages something to stir inside the listener. As we evolve our conscious awareness, we start to pick up on information such as those around us are about to say, or that which the universe is trying to tell us. And then it said, how are you communicating beyond words? Perhaps you're being misunderstood because there's a dissonance between your words, actions, and behavior and what you mean to communicate. Words are like spells, so be conscious of what you say, as you may be verbally sabotaging your intended meaning. Also, be reminded that words can mean different things to different people. Something may get lost in translation. An issue may be cleared through improved communication. Listen carefully to what someone has to say without interruption. Furthermore, it may feel scary to share vulnerable truths, but this may be the only way forward. This card also encourages greater exploration in the realms of telepathy, healing, and in the arts such as poetry, painting, and music, where there is collective communication beyond the mind. Yes. And I think somewhere in there they were talking about like downloads and getting. When I first stopped questioning my clairaudience and started really paying attention to my thoughts in meditation, the things that I was receiving and all of that. Even now, the things that I'm being told by Yeshua and Inky and all of my other guides that I'm supposed to say, I've sat and deliberated for months over how to say it, don't want to offend. And then finally, like I said, just read the cards, say what you got to say. Those that can hear it will hear it. Those that won't. Some ain't going to like it no matter how long I deliberate over it. I know there are going to be people that are not ready to hear it. And even those that are ready to hear it may not agree with it. I don't have to have everybody agree with me. Look, how many people didn't agree with Jesus? How many people didn't agree with Buddha? How many people didn't even agree with Muhammad? So messengers come, and people are not going to always agree with them, but you can start to co-create with spirit through these spirit cities of light, and it will allow you to become a channel and a vessel, and you'll start picking up telepathy. My twin and I have become fully and my twin flame, I should say. I don't have a sibling twin, but I am a mirroring twin. And we, like I said, we didn't try to make ourselves fit into that image. We had been experiencing that phenomena for a while, and then I was led to information online that kind of put a name and a label on what we were happening. And when I started digging deeper into the spiritual meaning of twins and all of that, not just in tarot, but in like other communities, I was like, oh, this has to be what this is, because we can feel each other's energy from 5,000 miles away. We're fully telepathic. And I'm not just telepathic with him. Because once we discovered it, we practiced it with intention, I'm more fully telepathic with him than I am with anyone else. I've been somewhat telepathic my whole life. I just didn't know it. I could think about anybody of my friends and family as a young, like up until like my late teenage years. If I concentrated on anybody that I knew, it didn't matter if I hadn't talked to them for 6 months. If I thought about them hard enough, they'd call me within 24 hours. It just happens. Finishing people's sentences, picking up the telephone, getting ready to call somebody, and they're on the phone. I was just thinking about you. I was picking up the phone to call you. I can't even tell you how many times that happened, and especially people that I actually know a little bit start picking it up. In 2020, when everything started really shifting for me, I did experiments where I had somebody I hadn't talked to in like 8 or 9 years reached out because they were visiting my state and they were trying to see it. I couldn't visit them, but I asked them to concentrate and see if they could pick up on some thoughts that I was sending them, and I projected 3 two-word phrases to this person. And even though they're not particularly acknowledging telepathy, they hit on 3 of the words. I was talking to a very dear spiritual brother of mine that was in seminary at the time, all the way in Nigeria. And I heard, or he heard, what I was thinking because I was projecting. We were having a conversation. I got up to go and put some clothes in the dryer or something, and I was thinking about needing an editor. And by the time I got back to the phone to finish the conversation, he had typed in, "I know how to edit video." I hadn't said nothing to him vocally about it, but he got it just the same. And that's the kind of stuff that, like, once it happens so many times, you can't deny it. And for my twin and I, it was, honestly, I had no choice but to accept the telepathy, because we were having a very poignant conversation. I was feeling all nice and flirty, and I said and did something that I kind of, it wasn't anything X-rated or anything like that, but I was just being a little flirty. And in my self-consciousness, I had regretted it and was kind of down on myself because of my body dysmorphia and the way I view my body and things. And as I was in the shower, kind of beating myself up with self-talk, this whole other conversation came into my head, and it was loving and gentle and reassuring. And then after I got out of the shower, I started texting with him, and he confirmed it. He's pushed thoughts into my head so hard I ain't had no choice but to text or type in what he was thinking. And once we figured out that it was actually happening, we leaned into it and practiced it all the time. We meet up telepathically almost every day. So the more you use it, the more it can develop. You just have to learn not to be afraid of it. Open your heart, open your mind, work with your guides. It's here for you. They're asking you, step through this portal. Because you are a rainbow child. You wouldn't be on this video, especially this long, if you weren't. You're a child of the cosmos. You have that DNA. All souls on this planet don't have that. Through the Anunnaki breeding program, not every humanoid being that was here is a remnant of that. But I can remember as a child, I had I can't refuse to call it a religious organization. They don't want to be called a church, but they're a cult that I was growing up in. The leader, the very top dog in that organization, he was an older gentleman, but I was like 11 or 12 years old and got a chance to meet him, and everybody was fawning over him and oohing and ahhing. It was a big deal. But he took one look at me and said, There are giants in the land. Eyes got big as saucer. The man was so old. They thought he was blind, but he had a lot of vision and sight. But he saw me and immediately made that scriptural reference to the Nephilim. It embarrassed me at the time because I thought he was talking about my physical size. No, he won't. He saw me and he understood I was starseed. They say, if you look at I can't think of the girl's name. Not girl. Elizabeth Hayes. There's a book called Initiation by Elizabeth Hayes. I think it was written around 1934 or something. I think it's on YouTube on audiobook as well. I highly encourage you to listen to it. But part of that in there, she was talking about she discussed like the sons of God and the sons of man. They're referred to in the Bible. They were literal races of people. The Anunnaki refer to the Ajiji and different ones in that breeding program as they were perfecting it down to the Adamu. They created races of giants and stuff by breeding and interbreeding between different planetary species. They were hybridizing the hominid on this planet. So all of them do not have what the Adamu had. Only descendants of Adam have that, and whoever else they created after that. But primarily, they started. Adam and Eve were the first breeding pair of Homo sapiens sapiens. But there was plenty of other beings around at that time. They didn't have the same type of intelligence and physical dexterity and this and that and the other. They were literally geneticists that were tweaking. And Enlil said, okay, we got the Adamu. We had to put this Anunnaki DNA in here to get somebody that's intelligent enough to be able to follow our plans and our work and all the rest of that. And you figured out how to make them a breedable pair by taking out of the rib and putting, Adam and Eve with this rib genetic exchange that they did. It's outlined in the Bible. They just don't tell you the whole story. But after he did that, he said, put a worship gene in them. And we'll never tell them we're not gods. Well, now the truth is out. The other one that did that, the primary geneticist, Enki, has said it's time for our children to know the truth. And then we have justice here. Justice. Ain't no justice, it's just us. But no, there is justice. It's coming because the cities of light say so. We got, like I said, divine communication. Oh, my nose is itching. Mythical guardian. Look beyond the surface to the truth of the matter. Your decisions will have consequences. The energy of this card is about fairness and truth. It indicates that now is the time to account for your actions and check in with yourself as to where you are at with your integrity. If you've been wrong, this card's presence will bring relief. If you're creating dissonance with others or your surrounding, this indicates a chance to change your actions as decisions that are now set in motion. That decisions that are set in motion now will have long-lasting effect. Justice is an all-seeing eye. She sees between the lines. She's also compassionate. If you genuinely try your best, given the circumstances, or have the honest intention of improvement, the outcome will be fair and aligned with your reprieve. This card represents an important decision and awareness of the repercussions of that decision on the well-being of yourself and others. It asks you to balance intuition with intellect. Once a decision has been made or your actions indicate a decision, the presence of justice indicates that there will not be second chances. It's best to accept the outcome and move on. The presence of this card cuts through the truth of what lies beneath. It is not simply black or white, good or bad. It is considering the whole situation. Aligning the heart encourages you to discover what truth really means to you. Things are presented in a way that seem good may have their roots in unethical aspects, and what may seem bad may be uncomfortable but necessary opportunities to be brought back into balance. This card urges you to dig deeper to find the truth behind the matter until you feel you can stand firm in true integrity. Yes, the decisions and awareness of repercussions of that decision on the well-being of yourself and others. When I first stepped away from religion, I was angry with religion. I was never angry with God. And like I said, if I'd understood what I understood now, yeah, I'd be a little bit ticked off at him. But I wasn't angry with God. I thought it was mankind's doing that had us all jacked up, the distortion. Like I said, I refer to it as spiritual telephone. And if any of y'all have never played the game telephone, they make you line up in a room and you whisper something in somebody's ear, and literally by the time you pass through 10 or 15 people, it's a completely different message than what it started out as. And that's just in one room. So I already understood that there was some distortion in with religion from something that was dug up from 2,000 years ago and still being consistently manipulated over the past however long that they have been manipulating it, basically since 200 years after Jesus' death. I always thought that that was odd. How is it that they say that this is about Christ, but this religion didn't even really become a real thing till 200 years after they killed him? So it was hard for me to juxtapose what had been ingrained in me in the programming. This is what you got to do, and God is going to be displeased if you don't do this, and your eternal life is at stake, versus, wait a minute, there's more to the story. Somebody's not telling us the truth. I felt guilty to the point that even as an adult, my teenage son had asked me years ago, what if we don't get it right? And I had to understand, if you open your mind and heart with real intention, and I wasn't being fake. Like I said, I can remember on my knees in my closet crying, begging to know God, because what I was being spoon-fed didn't feel like a loving God to me, and I wanted to know what that was about. I wanted to know like I said, Jesus said God is love. And I remember telling my mom, look, if what y'all are over here offering, if you feel, if this is God, I don't want no part of it, because that doesn't feel loving to me. I have a compassion for humanity. I always have a strong sense of right and wrong and fairness to people and all the rest of that. And what was being played out in my life and what I saw around me in the name of religion, I was like, nah, that ain't it, y'all. And for a long time, I felt guilty and wrong and whatever for it, but I just couldn't bring myself to continue swallowing that bitter pill. And then once I finally got over the anger enough to focus back toward, let me tell the truth. Once my life has started going off the rails so bad that I finally ain't had no choice but to try to sit down and figure out where it went wrong, and decided to commit myself to a consistent meditation practice, that's when I started seeing progress. And at first, it wasn't even focused on spiritual things. My first meditations were on cosmic concepts. I mean, it is spiritual, but it wasn't religious-based stuff. I was seeing the planetary spheres and seeing Earth as opposed to like the guardians of light. The analogies that I was being given were of a more cosmic nature. And I used to call it chilling in the God problem, because those types of things would come up. Well, like you say, if God made heaven and earth, who made God, kind of thing. Can you ever get back to the one? I've never gotten any closer than the four around the one. And then I came to understand that it wasn't as we needed to see, and I'd never be able to trace back to the one, and that just has to be okay, because human consciousness cannot conceive of what it is that they need to show us to help us understand how everything came into being. And it happened so long ago that nobody really knows it. That's just a human question to ask. Well, who created God? How dare you? You know? That's like trying to crawl into your parents' or grandparents' sex life. It's kind of immaterial at that point, and a little disrespectful to say that you're not going to believe unless you can know who created the creator. Now, I didn't understand how relevant that understanding was until I understood that the one that we're calling the creator is not the creator. He's an architect, yes. I'm not saying he don't deserve any respect. He's a very powerful being. But is he the divine source? No, absolutely not. And his jealousy, retribution, rage, militaristic spirit, willingness to kill his children, and willingness to promote his followers to kill his children are proof that he's not the divine creator. But I had to get to a place of understanding where I could escape the programming and open my heart to receive that information from the guides. And they couldn't just give it to me all at once, because I wasn't ready to hear it. I got a little more light and a little more light. First, I saw things from that aspect, and like I said, relating with the angels, and then a deeper understanding of who some of the angels were, and then a deeper understanding of how, the whole cosmic thing, and seeing how it all meshes together. It comes in degrees as you're ready, but as you align the heart and make those decisions. And for sure, like you said, once you open that door, you ain't gonna be able, you can try to close it, but you can't really. How you gonna unknow what you know? Especially when you come to understand, people tell me, I gotta know the truth. What is truth? And to whom? You may never find the whole truth because they don't want you to know the whole truth. Eventually we'll know most of it, but can we accept it? When you are given the truth, right now, if a spaceship landed in your yard and they knocked on their door and told you they were from the Galactic Federation, introduced themselves, and this is this and that, we'll sit down and we'll tell you everything. Would you even believe it? Would you be able to absorb it? Not until you open your heart and align your heart to understand. Mankind is so funny to me. We wage these wars and we go out and want to dominate and subdue people and talk about land rights and property this and dropping bombs on people that they don't want to get off our land. And all in the course of our telomeres have been capped, so none of us lived, as far as I know. I don't think they've ever been able to confirm in modern times anybody living over about the age of 142. And even then, people didn't want to believe that that person actually was 142 years old. Our telomeres were deliberately capped to keep us from living the hundreds and thousands of years that these other galactic beings live. So imagine the wisdom that they carry, and we standing in there with our hands on our hips, stomping our foot, telling them, prove it. Like, are you kidding me? That's like you sitting there trying to explain trigonometry to a toddler. It's not going to happen. And they ain't even going to waste their time with it. When you're ready to sit down and be the student, they'll appear and explain as much as you're able to understand. Now we're going to round up this final stack here with the universe, She of the Lotus, and the 7 of Light codes. And then we're going to grab a couple oracle cards and ride up out of here. I'm enjoying this though, so I definitely appreciate those who are riding along with, because this is beautiful and giving me a lot of insights and things that I really didn't have in mind today, but I ain't mad. 11. I've been connecting a lot with Metatron lately too, so I love that we're ending up with a Metatron card. We started out the other reading with the Oracle cards with some Metatron cards, but yeah, loving it, loving it, loving it. Wholeness, commune with all life, microcosm to macrocosm, freedom. Metatron shows me that everything is in divine order. I receive universal guidance and love. Metatron lets you see from a higher altitude to show that each being is supported even if they feel small or limited in their human skin. Light codes, energies, and geometries are received by letting go of the magnetic mind with its polarized consciousness. Miraculous opportunities are able to manifest by opening up to this divine support. Can you see your true nature as a child of the universe? Before you ever had a human body, you were a comet of light, a galaxy, a solar system. The universe is alive with many beings. The many evolutionary stages that you went through might include crystals, birds, sea creatures, and mammals until you decided to incarnate as a human. Do you feel limited with your direct environment, your biological family, your friends and colleagues? An angelic presence comes forward to show you much more, to show you the unlimited nature of your existence. Let these words of Metatron sink into your whole being. Receive the love and support that is your birthright. Does it bring up memories of the feeling unsupported in your life? The universe always supports you, even if you're missing support from humanity. Receive the gifts that the whole universe wants to give you. There are many gifts, some physical and some as inner gifts like peace and joy. You are a citizen of the universe and you're being asked to receive this. Let go of identifying yourself with a certain family, tribe, or country. See that these identifications are temporary and man-made. Do you see yourself as Lemurian or or another spiritual category? Do not be limited by a title, even of Lemurian star child, because you belong to the universe. And it's funny, I just talked about that, like I said, the boundaries that man sets up and fights over and kills over and everything else is ridiculous, because we're all here together. We are all here together. And even that thought that we've been other things. I had a profound moment a few years ago. It wasn't just a moment. Um, it was during 2020, towards the end. I went to stay with my son for a few months to help out with my grandson. And every morning I would go outside on his back patio to meditate, or outside in the grass just beyond the patio. And for about a week, as I was meditating in the early morning, the trees started revealing their faces to me. I was having all kinds of beautiful telepathic conversations. One with my father, who's transitioned. I came to understand that he was a son of Oshun, even though he'd never practiced any kind of the traditional religions. He was, like I said, he was Jehovah's Witness on this planet, in this planetary life, but he was a son of Oshun. And I didn't know that. It had healed a lot of the stuff between us during those moments, but I was literally seeing the faces in the trees and coming to understand that they are in some degree. I was just like filled with appreciation for what being comes here and decides to take on the task of being a tree in this incarnation, to stay rooted in one spot for sometimes hundreds of years, only to finally be chopped down and probably burned up, made for houses or whatever out of. But like, really? But on some level, something that had a consciousness designed a tree, and they propagate trees, and there's some form of energy or consciousness to a tree. And we know that because they hooked up electrodes to them. And if you play music to plants, they sing. If you have the equipment to be able to hear it, they sing, and they move only slightly, but they dance too. So that signifies there was some form of life form there that's more than we know. Now, we don't have to feel guilty about having a salad, because it's we are a life form that must consume certain things for our survival, and that's just a part of the way it is. Even when it comes down to that vegetarian vegan thing, those are personal choices. But everybody on this planet wasn't meant to be vegetarian or vegan. And the reason I know, because I've followed several vegans over years, over time in the media space, and quite a few of them have had to, after about somewhere between 10 and 15 years, seems to be that turning point, that they're forced to go back to at least pescatarianism just to maintain their physical health. Otherwise, they wind up dying of the same stuff that meat eaters do. So it's not the meat in and of itself. They get on this whole don't want to harm nothing in it. Certain things were put here for us to be able to be allowed to enjoy. We don't have to feel guilty about it. I'm not saying being greedy or imbalanced. You have to go with what your body is being held for, depending on your planetary source that you came from, or descend from, or are aligning with, or being evolved into. Different things may fit for you. But yeah, it was just an interesting thought that we think of ourselves as the only thing having intelligence here. But how is it that dolphins help women birth babies and save people at sea and do all kinds of stuff? There's intelligence here, not just us. She of the Lotus, and we're being invited to tap in and connect with it on different levels. The more we can accept and tap in, the more we receive. Shadow work, addressing dissonance, seeing downfalls as the flip side of superpowers, loving yourself back to wholeness, the beautiful lotus that grows from murky waters, disempowering triggers, bringing light into your dark corners. Originally, the title for this oracle deck was going to be The Language of Light. It was not actualized in that incarnation, as other layers of meaning needed to be honored, the fuller spectrum. I was guided to bring through it was not actualized in that incarnation as other layers of meaning needed to be honored. The fuller spectrum I was guided to bring through also included the shadow. In hindsight, choosing to deepen the message of balance that the Lemurians were bringing forth through this work meant I had to experience my own shadow. When we discard any part of ourselves, we are throwing away the baby with the bathwater. Our greatest strengths are our greatest weaknesses, and vice versa. When we reject or deny parts of ourselves, we end up feeling hollow, lost, and detached. When we take them out of the trash and work with them through compassion, gentleness, honesty, and non-judgment, we can shine a light on these shadows and see them for what they are. Incredibly, my perceived weaknesses vanished as I peeled the layers further and further back to explore the past experiences that accompanied them. Accepting the shadows enough to bring them into the daylight was usually all it took for them to dissipate. Their power dissolved and I could see them for what they were, or rather were not. Yeah. Shadow work, people talk about the dark night of the soul. But it says here, a true light bringer shines light in all the corners so shadows can be acknowledged and released. Take a look at any unconscious patterns that may be running you. Are there elements of yourself you need to take out of the trash, dust off, and reabsorb? Shadows can be painful or tender to the touch. Sensitivity in an area can be a trigger that shows us where we might want to spring clean some of our darker, forgotten, ignored, or hidden corners. Accepting our shadows is the first stage in restoring ourselves to wholeness and self-love. Peel back the layers where there is shame, guilt, or fear, and bring them into the daylight. Under a loving and compassionate light, they will resolve and reassimilate so that you can re-engage with your superpowers. Y'all, and I'm not trying to make this longer, but I have to mention some of this stuff because it's coming to my mind, and I believe it may help somebody. When you're willing to, if a person is willing to share their dirty laundry with you, it gives you an opportunity to find relevance without having or without so much self-blame. You can kind of compare it to what you're going through without having to sit back and that whole thing that we do, that negative self-talk and, oh, you shouldn't have, and all of that. When I started going back through shadow work, not only did it help me understand or heal and forgive myself for the things that I had been through and others, because the first thing that, like I said, I didn't understand, I was falling into the shadow. I wanted to understand unconditional love, and we was off to the races after that, and it took years of introspection and all the rest of it. But I came to not only forgive and understand, but appreciate even the karmic lessons. I mentioned the cult earlier, and I say that almost tongue-in-cheek because, I mean, it truly is, but I know they're offended by that, and I'm not even mad anymore. I'm grateful for that upbringing. Now, my mama was a piece of work. I don't think she had to pull out the belt. I was taught to read from the Bible on the end of a belt at the age of 2. That was a little aggressive, I get it. However, I learned to read with comprehension, and my imagination spawned, and I can see imagery in my head, and I understood. Like I said, we were taught to read the Bible, and I resented the hell out of it at the time. I'm grateful for it now, because when I came into those other texts that I was led to, I actually can compare it and see where they overlap, and one isn't necessarily contradicting the other. The other is just giving a bigger picture to let me know that this one was deliberately redacted to control us. This one is a history of what happened, more or less. And again, I'm not saying that any of the translations or works are perfect. It's just bigger layers. I was also allowed to see that even when I didn't understand that I was on a path, I was being led in a very specific direction for reasons. And instead of self-blame, I could still understand how I changed the trajectory and for certain things. One of these cards earlier was talking about the power of words and spells, how words are spells. So be careful what you think. Now, in my life story, I am a single mother. My children are all grown now, but I was a single mother of 4 children. Well, I actually gave birth to 5. I have 4 living adult children. I have 1 child that was born very prematurely and passed away at about 3 days. Did single parenthood, got 3 baby fathers. But when I look at the root of that, all the way back to the root of it, I know where it came from. When I was about 14, 15 years old, I started doubting religion and all the rest of that, and their idea that women are supposed to be virgins until married and only marry one man, and she's got to submit and obey to him, and what I was seeing laid out for me within the congregation of the cult. And I was like, that didn't make a lot of sense to me. I was like, oh, yeah. You wouldn't even buy a car without taking a test drive. So if I just align my soul to this man and give him my everything and get right up under him, that might be well and good, but what if it isn't? But I also said, right around that same time, I knew for a fact that I wanted 4 children, 2 girls and 2 boys. And what do I have? 2 daughters and twin sons. Now, I was connecting with this low vibrational energies in bad neighborhoods I had no business being in. They weren't really bad neighborhoods. I'm saying all of my children's fathers, they wasn't like drug dealers and cutthroat or any of the rest. But when I'm saying what I know, I had a vision for my life and where I was supposed to be, and what I wound up dating and eventually co-creating with was not what I was supposed to be with. And yet I got what I asked for, and a whole lot of lessons in compassion, codependency, gaslighting, all of it. And did I ask for that? No, not really. But as an imbalanced empath, that's kind of in our course curriculum anyway, because we have to learn those lessons, especially if you're an empath that's opening up to things like telepathy, clairaudience, clairsentience, being called to step into service. You have to be able to balance that and heal it for yourself. For one, so you can have empathy for people that are going through it. And 2, so that as you're working with those people, those energies can no longer affect you once you really learn the lesson. I was a little bit slow child. It took me a minute of going through them lessons to see it for what it was, but I had to reach a point of spiritual evolution that I could even understand and appreciate any of that. Some of that, when you first start out in life, you just think that's just the way it is, and you slogging along trying to do your best, and you feel like Mr. Incredible with the little black jelly things, just eventually slowing him down until you don't have a choice but to look at it and heal. But all of that stuff really is happening for you, not to you. My children, they 4 the coolest people on the planet, and I've always known that. I thought that was my purpose in life, was just to have them. I wouldn't trade that for anything. They probably wish they had different daddies sometimes because of the way their fathers act. And in my dark shadow night work, whatever, for a long time, I kind of beat myself up about that too, about how my choices impacted them with the way their fathers treated them or didn't treat them, supported them, didn't support them. Each one of them has a different story, but none of them are healthy. And that part, I carried a lot of shame and burden and all of that. But my son actually explained to me, he was like, Mom, I get it. He said, and it was after I had a particularly empathetic or empath moment with his grandmother, and the energy ran through me like chicken wire. It felt like it was sucking the air out of the room, and I went outside and I was crying uncontrollably and gasping for air and just trying to get my thoughts together because I didn't want to lash out at her. But it brought me back to a place from years ago when I was living all of that. And he was like, you don't understand. I get it. We went through some stuff, but I'm glad because it makes me a stronger person in the world. I don't want to be in this state. I understand that you're soft and you're being called for a reason and all. He was like, the world I live in, I needed to be exposed to some of the stuff that happened to me because of who these people are in and around my life. We all have a different walk. And I had to also understand that they signed up to take that ride with me before they ever got here. These are cosmic contracts that we walk in together. who your children are going to be, who you're going to partner with. Those are high-level soulmates, some of whom make the choice before we ever get here. Let's look at our final card, the 7 of light codes, and then we're going to get a couple of oracles that don't have to be read, but they're on the table, so we're going to do it. I said I was going to take my time and obey spirit today, and this is what it is, so we're going to do this. Ooh, child, I ain't realized I've been at it this long, no, woo-woo, but that's okay. It's all good. The eclipse didn't actually happen, I think, at this point. We have been reading through the eclipse. The brighter you shine, the more you stand out. This is anchoring light. While wonderful, this is also something to be mindful of. Set your boundaries and be an inspiration. This card features angular light codes and a dragonfly standing in her alignment. It is a dragonfly at the bottom. My bad. Unswayed by any energies that might attempt to pull her off course. The eyes that adorn her wings let her track situations from a higher vantage point so she knows when she needs to act. The circular formation in the middle of the piece shows that she is not losing any energy. It's a closed circuit. As long as she stands up for what she believes in and sets her boundaries accordingly, she will continue to maintain her assets and all she has brought to the world. The more traditional interpretation of this card points to the need to protect yourself from people who covet what you have and want to take your place. The more you stand out, the higher the chances that others will be envious of you. Be prepared to protect what you stand for. The new paradigm of thinking deals with this a little differently. Boundaries are important. By maintaining them, you are being proactive and assertive, not setting yourself up for victimhood. Be firm and clear in stating your boundaries and the consequences if they are crossed. This removes any vagueness and clarifies if someone acts out of integrity. On the positive side, if you feel rivaled by someone, this can inspire you to be even more awesome at your job. Sometimes many people around the globe receive the same ideas simultaneously. So it may not be that someone is copying you, but they have also received and acted upon a universal download. However, if someone is taking your intellectual property, that's a different situation. Maintain boundaries in this case. This goes both ways. When you see others creating similarly amazing things rather than jealousy, cultivate happiness for them. Perhaps you can support each other. You might be able to hand off work to them that you don't have the bandwidth for, and vice versa. See yourself as a broader movement. Being an inspiration is truly a wonderful gift. When we feel insecure or unfulfilled, it's as if there's not enough to go around. This may be real, in which case our boundaries are valid. Perhaps we've spent too much time and energy cultivating something simply to hand it over to someone else. Trust your intuition rather than reacting through fear. And honestly, that only makes sense because, well, especially in this day and time. Wait a minute. Oh, yeah. When we were talking about doing this shadow work, connecting with the cities of light, channeling with your beings and your guides and all of that, there's a thought in religion, especially in Christianity. There's a scripture in the Bible that talk about the gifts and tongues ceasing and this and that. And some religious people have gone so far, and again, I'm taking from the cult wisdom, that speaking in tongues or prophesying or channeling, doing any kind of divinatory work is evil in this day and time because they've been programmed to think so. But when you learn differently, why would God, source, the divine, angels, however you choose to see it on this realm, why would they only give a message to one person? Why? Especially considering most of this information is coming through the non-physical. They're not knocking on the door or stepping out of the spaceship or walking into your bedroom. It's telepathically given information through your clairaudience, clairsentience. They can only interpret through the base of the programming you have in you. Concepts can only be shown based on what you can understand. That's why different channels channel different things because of they're working with whom, but it's all tied in. But if you're at a point where you start receiving this information and knowing it, other people are too. And I mean, even the things that I'm saying, I hesitated for the longest about talking about any of this. And I turn on YouTube and I see it all over the place. I'm not, like I said, I didn't make up nothing new. I'm not telling you I got the only light from God. But if enough people don't speak it, how will enough other for future generations know? If you don't share your light and speak the truth that you're being given, then it dies with you. And that's no bueno, because the butterfly effect, the information that you're given isn't just for you, it's for those who will be able to reach it and absorb it, not just now, but for generations to come, because light is expanding, and that's how it happens. It gets spread. The lies have been spread for thousands of years. Now the truth got to be spread through the vessels that are willing to do that work, open the portal, accept their star family lineage, and work with their star family lineage and the universe to become these portals of light, love, ascension, information, healing, and all of that to humanity. And if you're still on this video, you're being called into that. I know I'm not reading for regular people. We ain't talking about what the karmic's doing and who going to jail and what they got going on the news and all. I'm not saying that won't ever come out in some of the readings, but for the most part, my readings don't run like that, because that ain't the soul family that I set an intention to call in. And I didn't realize at the time that I was going to be reading for a whole bunch of other readers and spiritualists and whatever, but most likely, I got a feeling before it's over with, there's going to be quite a few folks in this soul family right here that are being called to be, like I said, readers, prophets, channels, guides, healers, teachers, because we're getting into some deep information here. But it's information that's so relevant for our times. Now we are going to look at some of these star family. I can't even remember the name of this deck. And I guess, like, ain't nobody going to remember no way. I got like 150 decks. Nobody's going to remember all of that. And as long as you get the message, I don't think you really can. Wow. First card out of here. The Holy Child. Starseed. I am a divine child of the universe. Indeed. The Priestess. Embody. I am an embodiment of the divine feminine. Goddess of balance, equality. I create and foster reciprocal relationships. Reciprocal, that's the operative word right there. We've been doing so much one-sided stuff, trying to see and be seen, be heard, love and be loved. And it's a natural human tendency. But most of us been casting our pearls before swine, and it's not reciprocal. And we're getting to a point of finding this balance. And as we continue to ascend, we're demanding it. But here's the thing, we ain't even got to demand, because the higher you bring your frequency, when you vibrate higher, you attract higher. You're calling in soul family, and you will, like, you're creating and fostering reciprocal relationships, because now you're at a space where you're connecting with people who are going to respect. There's equal give and take. You're not just giving to somebody to try to appease them so you hope they don't leave anymore. And you just got to keep feeding that well. That's a bottomless pit. And you know how, well, it ain't bottomless. It's only as bottomless as your time, energy, and wallet are. When you run out of love, and you run out of money, and you run out of time and attention and the ability to serve them, see how they get ghosts. They go like, they scatter like smoke in the wind. They really do. Try it. Let the well run dry, and see if some of them folks that you thought you had to hold on to, even though they keep you feeling some type of way in your quiet moments that you don't want to admit, but you just keep slogging on hoping to feel better, then people are going to disappear like ghosts. Initiation by fire is here, and that's what many of us been through. That path ain't easy. Oh, I was only looking for 3, but 4 came here. Wisdom of the divine feminine, we back to that. And even the masculines, or I should say those who are engendered males on this planet, are being called to address and come back to some of this divine feminine energy. Yeah, you can build and conquer and do that and make empires and all of that good stuff. but you have to respect and embrace the divine feminine, not only within your counterpart, but within yourself. That's a holy union of alchemy. Balance. Trust in the plan. An invitation to connect. Don't get no plainer than that. Now the last ones we're going to look at, these are not really star cards, but this saltwater spirit, it goes along with the Age of Aquarius deck, but they were such beautiful meanings. I don't think we're going to do the book meanings on them. They have like invocations and affirmations, but we're just going to get a quick message from them and call it a day, because we've done lots of good work here. Healing waters of Mintaka. I invoke the sacred waters of Mintaka to bestow upon me divine clarity. Birth. Through many tribulations you persevered, and now the blessings come. Yes. Yes, yes. Water codes. How I view the world around me is a mirror, How I view the world around me is a mirror to my inner world. People don't even understand that. They think, well, it's on the news, it's reality, you gotta ignore. Not really. I know it's a lot of stuff going on bad in the world, and I'm not saying you gotta turn a blind eye to everything. Because there are times when I'll kind of catch up on what's going on, especially if I hear about something. I may look at it for a while, but if you get too engrossed in that, your outer world starts to shift too. If you want to create a more peaceful world, focus on more peaceful things. Instead of seeing the horror and the evil of it, yeah, it is. It's hard. It's all that. Nobody should be killing nobody. Nobody should be stealing from nobody. Nobody should be doing any of those things. But understand what's playing out, why we're seeing it, and intend and envision something different. Start healing that energy. Sometimes the energy work is all we can do. I can't help them people in Palestine and Israel and all of those places over there. I can't even if I got on a plane, they wouldn't let me in that area. It's war torn right now. But I can set an intention and go in meditation and do the spiritual work to help make it better for all of my brothers and sisters over there. I'm not trying to pick a side in that, because they're arguing over something that don't belong to them. With thousands of years of misguided devotion to a story that's not even completely true, and killing each other by the thousands. I can't help that on a physical plane, but I can darn sure, as a warrior of light, do something about it here, because a warrior of light isn't vengeful. A warrior of light is healing all of that stuff. And when you do that, your work is more powerful than you know. You have no idea, when you truly raise your energy and tap into the energetic field, it is literally like tapping into a mainframe. Exactly like tapping into the mainframe. And you can benefit others by what you put into the mainframe as well as what you get from it. Subconscious mind, good or bad, deep down you know the truth. Listen and trust. Voyage, your path is open. Ancient spirits are waiting to guide you through. Reflection, you are a mirror reflection of the world around you. Do you accept its depiction? Sanctuary, a call to embrace spiritual serenity and release human conflicts. Whew. That was a lot, but hey, like I said, we had this new moon and eclipse and the Feast of Trumpets, so we needed to cut, because it's an invitation from Spirit to see things differently and allow the evolution of humanity and you that is happening and begging to happen. They want you to cooperate with it. Like I say, it's happening regardless, but if you go kicking and screaming, it's not the same experience as if you allow it. Co-create and allow this to happen. This shift is amazing. It's beautiful. And truthfully, we always talk about wanting world peace. That's the only way we're going to get it. You see right now the powers that were are never going to voluntarily relinquish control. And they don't have no problem whatsoever with slaughtering or sending to slaughter hundreds or thousands of their people. It ain't just one country. That's why I'm not pointing to any one particular area or conflict, because they're all up in it. Some are more vicious and brutal than others. No, that's not true. Some are more obvious and open with their viciousness and brutality than others. And we see those rulers in those countries, and oh, it's bad and we ain't free. But we ain't free here either. We got a lot of privilege in a very gilded, padded prison that we're in. But we're not free. We won't be free until we go back to this. And the powers that were don't want this, because this doesn't allow for the greed of commercialism. And again, nothing wrong with having products, nothing wrong with people benefiting and being compensated. But we all know that there is a serious imbalance on this planet. There's no reason why one child on this planet, adult or any, there's no reason why nobody on this planet should be without a home or without food and water. And yet look at the state of the world. Because instead of looking to the divine or even to our star family, we've been steadily running to the polls and signing up for more of the same by some greedy folks that do know and understand every bit of this. They know all of this, but they have no intention of doing this because they're running the show and their greed has allowed them imbalance. They're not operating in love. And we're being told to come back to love. And that's for real how to win that battle. Choose this day whom you'll serve. Peace, love, and light, or continue to go along with what's been done because it's been done and that's just the way it is. And that's what I need to do because I don't want to die and go to hell. Well, you're not gonna. Sorry. I don't care whoever you are. If you still believe in a burning hell in this day and time, please go do your research. There is not one shred of biblical, real evidence to back that theory of a burning hell. Nowhere in the Bible, even with the way they try to use a few little scriptures that have been misinterpreted and mistranslated to try to back up that is not a scriptural practice, not even for the mystics back then. That's something that was given, that's for real, was written in by the folks who penned Christianity. But I'm going to get off of that because we've been at this for a minute and a half. Thank you again, family. I do hope that you got benefit from it like I did. And until the next go around, peace and blessings to you. I love you very much. And like I said, again, happy solar eclipse new moon day. Namaste.